Is fascism alive and well? Well, it might be at your homeowners association. To talk to us about it from, well, Channel 9 News for so many years, Ward Lucas, so great to see you again.
Thank you very much. Good to see you, John.
You know, neighbors at war. I mean, all right, I've heard people having horror stories with HOAs. Yours was so interesting you decided to write the book, Neighbors at War. Why?
Mine got me motivated simply because in my situation, I get into it a little bit in the book. I have a couple of full disclosure chapters, so people know where I'm coming from. But in my situation, I started looking around the country to see if anybody else was suffering the way I was going through what I was. And I discovered it's far worse than anybody suspects.
When you say it's worse, tell me, what do you mean it?
When you join a homeowners association, you're essentially joining a corporation. Now, when you walk into a corporation, when you walk into Channel 9, you don't necessarily have free speech rights. You don't have gun rights. You don't have a lot of the rights that you think you might have in the Constitution.
It's a private place. It's private. It's their company. They can run that company any way they want.
A home is different. A home is your castle. A home is where you go home to be alone and to be left alone. It's constitutionally protected. In several amendments, you have freedoms in your home that you don't have when you step outdoors. When you're in a homeowners association, you suddenly come to realize at some point you have no First Amendment rights, no Second Amendment rights.
How do you mean? Give me some examples.
Give me an amendment to talk about. Second Amendment.
Let's talk Second Amendment.
Okay, Texas, a gentleman lost his home because he was selling guns.
Which is perfectly legal.
It is legal, but the HOA came up with a rule that you can have no private business operating out of a home.
Everybody has private businesses operating.
Of course they do.
Homes.
Of course they do. It's what we do in our homes. We write books. That's a private business. This man never brought a gun into the HOA or through the house. He sold guns over the internet. He never.
Whoa. He sold guns, and the guns never even went through his house.
No ammo, no guns ever went through his house. He never put his finger on a gun. But the HOA filed a fine against him and a lien and took his house.
Because they didn't like the type of business.
Because somebody got on the board that didn't like the fact that he was even remotely connected to the gun business.
Talk to me about the First Amendment.
Well, you've got several various ways. You've got the Twin Rivers decision in New Jersey, where somebody put up a political sign outside their house. And
like we all do during political season.
Yes, but in HOAs, you cannot necessarily do that. If your HOA says no political signs, you're in a corporation now. It's not private property. It's property that's owned by a partnership. Every member of the neighborhood is your partner. Even though you may never have met him, he's your financial partner. Words, you're bound to him financially.
So your neighborhood is the corporation, and you're really just a shareholder. You own your share, which is called your house.
Right.
But you can be outvoted by the other stockholders of this company.
You can be outvoted.
Is that a bad analogy?
No, it's not a bad analogy at all. You can be outvoted by 2 people on a 3-member board in a community of 500 people if the other several hundred people don't show up to vote.
Which most people don't, because nobody's involved in this.
They're not
Who
involved.
wants to be on an HOA board?
Nobody.
Only people who have control issues.
Exactly. And that's the problem, is the HOA system was built to attract just this kind of person, the person with power issues. And when somebody finds himself on a board for a number of years, well, come on.
They become Robert Moses.
Absolute
power corrupts.
Absolutely. Yes.
Talk to me about, there's another amendment. You can't take my property without due process.
Right. There are no due process rights in an HOA. There are no due process rights at Channel 9 or Channel 4 or Channel 7.
Well, there shouldn't be no due process rights at Channel 4 or at any private business, but this is my home.
There are more due process rights in a corporation like Channel 9 or Channel 7 than there are in a homeowners association.
Really?
They grant and take away rights at will. They get away with it because they've got the 2-member majority on the 3-person board.
Talk to me a little bit about your fight, because you wouldn't have written a book, Neighbors at War, if you weren't personally affected by this.
Right,
What was it?
And I don't want to get into mine,
okay,
if you don't mind, because the story is so much bigger than what went on with me. You're talking about homeowners associations that are discovering themselves in massive, massive liability lawsuits on the losing end, where you may be paying $150 a month for your condo dues, and suddenly they say, we kind of lost this little lawsuit over the fact that we leaned this guy for painting the trim the wrong size, and he won in court. So he's won a $4 or $6 million judgment against the 20 of us in this condo. So we're going to hit you with a $50,000 special assessment, which you have to have by the end of this month. And if you don't have it, we'll lien your house for non-payment of judgment.
And that people have no idea when they go into a neighborhood, buy a house there that has an HOA.
They have this much knowledge.
They have nothing.
The realtor says, sign this.
Right.
What's that? It's 120 pages. Can I read it first? Well, it's just to keep the neighbor from building a house, an extra room in his house without permission. And you think, oh, okay. You go ahead and sign it. You're never given a chance to read the covenants, controls, and restrictions.
And in Colorado, thanks to an anti-growth ordinance that was passed through the legislature, there are almost no new developments that are being built that don't have an HOA. They need to have some sort of controlling authority, special district, in order to get permission to build homes.
Right.
So
build homes with more density.
Right.
That's the plum for the developer to push the homeowners into buying into the property.
Right. And so while I have a house that is old enough that it's not in an HOA, I can do what I want with my house. You know, these HOAs that tell you what type of drapes you need to have because people can see them, or how high your kid's swing can be. It can't be any higher than the fence.
Or if you can have a swing.
If your kids can have a swing, you have to go. Let me see if I got this. You might live in a neighborhood with hundreds and hundreds of people, but if 2 out of 3 of them say, no swing in your backyard for your little kid, that's it.
That's doable, and it's done all the time.
You make some pretty amazing claims here. You tell us that you can be evicted from your home if you're black, if you're gay, if you're handicapped, if you're a single mom. I mean, how would that even be legal? How would that be possible?
The modern HOA movement was born in a very interesting year in American history, 1964, 2 or 3 months after the Civil Rights Act. Restrictive covenants blanketed America. Restrictive covenants saying you're not allowed to sell to.
You're not one of us. We don't want you there.
Right. And no Jews, no Orientals, no people of the Mongoloid race, no blacks, no whatever, no Protestants even in some areas. But those restrictive covenants have been on your deed probably for the past 200 years. If you go back and look at the history. There were a couple of court decisions that did away with those, with the power of those restrictive covenants. So the builders got together with the Urban Land Institute, and they said, we got to do something to be able to protect our property. So
protect our property from
those people.
Those people.
So, and they created the Homeowners Association, the modern movement, privately incorporating neighborhoods as country clubs.
Because if you're in a private club, those rules from the civil rights laws don't apply.
Exactly.
This is not a public place. This is a private institution. This is a private club. We can run how we want to run our organization.
Right. It was believed that blacks weren't interested in playing golf or tennis. And the most amazing change in homeowners associations nationally was when Tiger Woods won that Jerry Pate collegiate golf tournament. PGA suddenly had to start looking around and saying and asking themselves, which clubs don't discriminate against blacks? And it was some real difficult years, but Tiger Woods doesn't even know what he did for this country in terms of getting rid of a lot of the garbage that was going on.
But those things are still there. What's amazing, so let me see if I get this. We passed a civil rights law to get rid of those type of abuses. People find a way to keep undesirables out. And then in the late 1990s, early 2000s, Colorado passes a law saying you must put in that mechanism by which you can discriminate against people. And people love it because I don't want my neighbor to paint his house pink. I would find that offensive.
You know, you drive through the country club area in Denver, you don't see any pink houses, but that's not a homeowners association there.
Really?
Yeah. You don't see cars up on blocks. Those are always the fear.
The fear.
Factors they throw at you. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want
no cars on blocks.
We don't want people cars on front yards, on cinder blocks. People working on no. So we've got things that say your car has to be in your parking spot or in your garage.
In the garage, but it goes further.
Give me some of the best ones.
Okay, another good one is a $500 fine if you leave your garage door open for more than 10 minutes. That happens all over the country.
Wait. So I'm working on my car
Right.
in my garage,
Right.
or I'm cleaning out my garage,
Right.
and it's open for more than 10 minutes.
Yeah, you get hit with a fine. If you get uppity about the fine, then you get a lien filed against your home. You say, wait a minute, can we talk to the neighbors about this?
I know people who have been put into bankruptcy because of complaints and fines from the HOA.
Thousands and thousands of people.
And
yes.
you don't realize that the house, this is my house, this is my castle, and all of a sudden there's a lien on it because the homeowners association didn't like what you did.
What if it's a vacation home? You're a snowbird.
Right.
They don't mail you the lien. The lien's filed against your empty house. You get back, you discover not only has this happened, the house has been taken and sold at auction before you even knew anything was happening.
Time out. You're telling me that a home can be taken and auctioned off
Yes.
in order to pay for these liens without even a homeowner knowing it's happening?
Yes, a famous case happened to Captain Clower, an Army captain who was serving overseas in Afghanistan or Iraq, I forget which one. His wife, living in a house, thought the mail that she was receiving was junk mail that was put aside. She didn't open it. He got back to the United States, and his house was gone. His wife had lost it. It had been sold at auction. Now, you can't file that kind of action against somebody serving active duty overseas, right? Isn't that federal law? It is. Yet this homeowners association still did it.
Only a couple minutes left. Tell me, people before they move into a home, what should they check for? And give me some advice for people who are in these situations, because they're everywhere.
They are. Read the book. Educate yourself. Go to my website, neighborsatwar.com. We've got nearly 500,000 people on this website already. A lot of concerned people across the country are saying, I got to learn what's going on here. Discover for yourself the organized crime indictments against homeowners associations up and down the valley in Las Vegas.
Whoa. Okay. One more time on that one?
Okay. There's a massive federal investigation that has led to the indictment of 40 people, lawyers, businessmen, a prominent TV reporter who was also a realtor, prominent realty firms, 40 federal indictments for racketeering over fixing of board elections in homeowners associations and diverting insurance money into the private pockets of these 40 people. Classic mafioso organized crime.
So basically, it is a private organization that has governmental authority.
Yes.
And that you don't have the due process that is guaranteed you
Exactly.
when you're dealing with the government.
Exactly.
So if the government tried to do any of the things that these homeowners associations were doing, the ACLU would be there to help us out.
You know, conservatives and libertarians have got to pay attention to this issue because, yeah, the ACLU is walking in here and saying, oh, we've got some good issues. But these are constitutional issues,
Remarkable.
and we better all start paying attention.
Website, neighborsatwar.com, the book at Amazon. Hey, thank you so much, Ward.
You bet, John.
Thank you. Tell a friend. We'll see you next week.